so he's on mugshot duty.
What do you want?
What?
Okay, let's put the badge on, step behind the desk, and see if police officer is actually worth your time. Or if this is one of those simulator games where the biggest threat you face is your own patience. Released on Steam on August 26, 2026, Police Officer comes from Turquoise Games and is published by TK Interactive. The basic idea is actually pretty interesting. Instead of simply driving around shooting bad guys, you're responsible for the less glamorous side of police work. You process suspects, check identifications, search people for suspicious items, conduct alcohol and drug tests, inspect evidence, deal with citizens, and manage the police station itself. And honestly, that sounds pretty good on paper. Because in 2026, we've seen enough police games where you're basically handed a gun, a patrol car, and told, "Good luck, officer."
Hello, officer. I'm fine. I can walk straight. Just don't ask me to prove it.
Police Officer tries something different. It wants you to deal with the procedure and desk work. And that's where the game gets interesting. When a suspect comes into the station, you're not just deciding whether they look suspicious. You have to go through the process, check their identification, verify records, search their belongings, and look for anything that doesn't add up. The game even lets you check visa and residency status and perform breathalyzer tests before deciding what happens next. So there's even a little bit of that inspection simulator formula here. You look at the information in front of you, compare the details, find inconsistencies, and then make the call. And that can be surprisingly satisfying when everything clicks. But Police Officer doesn't stop at the front desk. Eventually, you're also managing the actual station. You can hire and assign officers, send people out on patrols or investigations, manage queues and holding cells, upgrade equipment and facilities, and generally try to keep the whole operation from turning into administrative disaster. Because apparently, being a police officer wasn't stressful enough, now you get to become middle management. And nothing says action-packed career quite like reorganizing a queue of suspects. The developers describe the station as something that becomes increasingly chaotic as your workload grows, with the game asking you to balance efficiency, legality, and public satisfaction. And that management side is probably one of the more interesting ideas here. You're not simply completing isolated missions. You're supposed to feel like you're gradually taking responsibility for a growing police station. The developers have also talked about progressing through a career and unlocking additional responsibilities, while the launch feature set includes investigations, evidence review, raids, vehicle inspections, and decisions over what happens to suspects.
You can check my stuff. There's nothing weird in there.
But here's where things get a little complicated, because Police Officer has launched with mixed reception. At the time of writing, Steam shows 50 user reviews, with 64% positive, putting the overall rating in the mixed category. And one early review from Insert Coins gave the game 5 out of 10, arguing that Police Officer sits awkwardly between a serious police simulator and a more entertainment-focused management game. That review also criticized its generic visuals and felt that some of the game's more interesting ideas don't get developed as deeply as they could. That's an important criticism, because Police Officer clearly has some ambitious ideas. The problem is that having a checklist of police procedures isn't automatically the same thing as creating a compelling simulation. There needs to be a reason to care about those decisions.
I knew it.
Before ending your shift, always check that the cell door is locked and secure. One small mistake can become a big problem.
And this is where I think the game will probably divide players. If you enjoy methodical simulator games, checking documents, searching suspects, managing resources, and slowly building up your operation, there's something here that could scratch that particular itch. But if you're expecting Police Simulator meets GTA, well, put the rocket launcher back in the evidence locker. That's not really what this game is trying to be. The presentation is also fairly straightforward. The game uses a first-person 3D presentation, but early criticism has described the visuals as fairly generic rather than particularly memorable. And that's a shame, because a game built around investigation and decision-making could really benefit from a stronger atmosphere. Still, I think it's important to remember that we're looking at a game that only launched yesterday. That means the Steam review picture is still extremely early, and 50 reviews isn't exactly the final verdict carved into a police station wall. The developers have also gone through playtesting and community feedback before launch, so it'll be interesting to see where the game goes from here. There is another interesting detail worth mentioning too. The developers disclosed that AI-generated content is used for character portraits on ID cards and some background illustrations. Whether that bothers you is obviously going to depend on how you feel about AI-assisted assets. But it's good that the developers are actually disclosing it rather than pretending every background was lovingly painted by 12 artists during a full moon. So where does that leave Police Officer in 2026? Well, I don't think this is the definitive police simulator, but I also don't think it deserves to be dismissed outright. There's a genuinely interesting idea under all the paperwork, taking the inspection and management formula and putting it inside a police station, where your decisions determine who gets processed, who gets investigated, and how efficiently the entire operation functions. But the problem is that the execution doesn't always match the ambition. And with the current mixed Steam rating and early reviews pointing toward repetition, generic presentation, and a lack of depth in some areas, I'd say this is one to approach with realistic expectations. If you love simulator games where checking paperwork somehow becomes strangely addictive, Police Officer might be worth investigating. But if you're looking for a deep, realistic police experience with the production values and immersion of a major release, I'd probably wait and see how the developers support it. Because right now, Police Officer feels less like the finished career of a veteran detective and more like the first day on the job.
I was having a bad day, okay? I didn't hurt anybody.
You've got the badge, you've got the paperwork, you've got 37 suspects waiting in line, and now try not to lose your mind before lunch. And honestly, that might be the most realistic part of the whole game. Thanks for watching, that's all for now.
As you wish.
Next one right here.
Okay, the sunglasses were a bad idea. I can admit that. Hurry up! Good luck with that.
Next suspect.
You can check my bag. It's just normal stuff. Understood.
Next.
You're acting like I robbed a bank. It's just paper and bad decisions.
All right, come to the desk.
Fine, maybe I got loud, but I didn't touch anyone.
I just wanted a lucky break, okay?
Morning, sir.
I didn't mean to hide anything.
All right, next one.
How much longer do I have to wait here?
That is my ID. The photo is just really old.
I just wanted a lucky break, okay? I didn't mean to hide anything. Finally.